Welcome to the best of first-person episodes from Phantoms and Monsters. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified of all future uploads.
Upright canine attack in northwest Wisconsin. I am an outdoorsman and very experienced in hunting, camping, hiking, and general survival. I'm very familiar with wildlife, especially locally. I was charged by what I believe was a cryptid called a dogman. It charged me and my cousin. It was not a bear cannot move how it did. It was not a normal wolf as they can't comfortably run on two legs. Whereas what charged us seemed natural as a biped. This happened around June or July of 2007 I believe. I was around 17 years old, but knowledgeable of the outdoors. My family used to own a cabin in northwest Wisconsin. I basically grew up there in the summer. I knew the woods well, but at night it was wise to stay in the cabin or at least by the bonfire by the beach because of bears, wolves, and cougars. One of the creepiest things was if you were having a bonfire, the tree line was visible from the fire pit and beach, and at night you always felt like you were being watched from that tree line. But during the day the woods always seemed normal, not so creepy. That is until this incident. So this happened somewhere between 1200 and 1400 hours. My cousin and I were having an airsoft battle. I was in full woodland camo, he was not. I retreated onto the ATV trail into the woods for a tactical advantage, and our battle took us about 200 meters into about a third of the way up the trail. We had enough at this point and were standing at the edge of a clearing on the trail talking, and he was maybe 10 feet from me when I decided to mess with him. I shushed him and said, "We're being watched." He froze, then I realized the woods were dead quiet, and I got spooked and started scanning the tree line and the other edge of the clearing from left to right. That's when I saw it. Its teeth gave it away. It was panting and staring at my cousin. I don't expect you to believe me, but what I saw was a wolf as big as a black bear, at least 300 pounds, but it wasn't normal. This wolf was on two legs crouching next to a tree with its arm grasping the tree, grasping with a clawed hand. It had reddish brown fur. I told my cousin that, "We have to go," and next thing I know he is sprinting, and I look back at the creature who had locked on and sprinted a few steps on 2 feet. I turned and ran when it looked like the creature was dropping to all fours. It charged us and sounded right on our asses barreling through the brush, but for whatever reason let us go when we broke out of the tree line and headed for the cabin. What stuck with me the most was the sheer size. It appeared to be nearly 7 foot tall when upright. It should have had front paws, but it appeared to have large clawed hands. Now I'm not sure how to explain it aware rationally. I have heard wolves will occasionally kind of walk upright, but as far as I know they can't sprint on 2 legs, nor do wolves get that big. Black bears waddle on 2 legs. The closest description is silly, a werewolf or dogman. I have no idea what this really was. T.
Upright canine observed in Lackawanna County, Pennsylvania. In January 2019, I noticed something lumbering down my driveway. The window I was looking out faces over and above the drive, if that's clear. For example, I can see the roof of your car, but not always the bottom of the tire. Regardless, I notice movement. I look out and see what I initially thought was a bear, nose to the ground, kind of snuffling its head side to side, casually walking down the drive on all fours. A little geographical clarity. I live in town. The front of my neighborhood faces a major highway, but the back is all state game lands. I've seen some wildlife, turkeys, a deer here and there. And every skunk in the county apparently lives on my street. I don't see many squirrels, groundhogs, or chipmunks. Which is a bit odd. I'm not very far from the city of Scranton. About 7 miles from downtown. So I'm not exactly in the sticks. I watch this bear mosey down toward the street, its head lowered. I moved from the living room window to my bedroom window that has a full view of the street. Sure enough, here it comes. But something is wrong. I watch this beast stand on 2 legs and casually walk out into the road. I see pointed ears and a long snout. It's got its head raised, smelling the air. This was no bear. I saw it in perfect silhouette under the yellow street light. It was either dark gray or black. The yellow light threw off the true color. It stood without effort, looked like one fluid movement. It then walked across the road, casual as you please, and kind of hunkered down in some scrub brush. Then I realized it was looking right into my bedroom. It had blue eyes. I'm not sure if that was reflected light or they were glowing. It looked right at me. I lost my legs at that moment and sat down under my window. Absolutely panicked. I was home alone, with 5 cats and a dog who slept through the whole thing. I didn't know what to do. My window is a big picture window, and if it wanted me, it easily could have gotten me. I cautiously got on my knees to peek over the sill, and I lost it. Didn't see eyes or it anywhere. It seemed to be either moving away from the forest behind my house, or it decided to rest up in that scrub brush. What I saw under the streetlight is as follows: darkish fur, high pointed ears, long muzzle. I never saw teeth or if it had a tail. It had hands with long claws that hung kind of limp wrist. If they were fully extended, they would hang below the knee. It walked on hawk dog legs. It looked heavily muscled, but had a tapered waist. It was about 7 to 7.5 feet tall, judging from where it stood in relation to the streetlight. It was non-aggressive, even when I felt it look right at me. I was terrified, but I didn't get a sense that it was pissed off it had been seen, as some people report. I didn't take a picture because I simply didn't think to. I was in a fair amount of shock, but sometimes your phone is the absolute last thing on your mind. There have been some odd sounds, tapping at my window. I can hear scratching of the siding. I don't see that many animals around the neighborhood. There used to be about 7 stray cats I fed. All gone. Once the weather broke, it's been quiet. I installed motion lights and bought 2 game cameras. I'm hoping they are in a sense like Sasquatch, they avoid game cams. I don't ever want to see this thing again. Those of you who want to see one, pray you never do. My encounter was non-aggressive. I can't imagine having to deal with this thing pissed off. I still can't sleep a full night, and every sound scares the hell out of me after dark. I live alone, and the pistol I own would probably just ruffle its fur. BC.
Upright canine in Finland. So about 2 years ago, I had an encounter with something I can't explain, and the reason I'm writing this is because I saw some strange footprints yesterday, where I encountered it 2 years ago. I live in Finland, near the coast. 2 years ago, I was out hunting and it was getting late and dark, so I decided to head back home. I had about 2-3 kilometer walk through the forest to get to my car. It had gotten pitch black outside at this point, so I had an LED headlamp for light as I walked. As I walked, I kept hearing unusually loud sounds. I knew something big was moving. I was 100% sure it was a moose, as I've encountered lots of them in the forest, and they do make lots of noise vibrations when they walk. I couldn't see anything though, and it was getting closer to me. All of a sudden this super awful smell hits me. It smells like feces and something really rotten. My hair stands up and I raise my shotgun, as my whole body instinctively tells me to run. I just stand still and listen. As the sounds get closer, I see what looks like a humanoid figure standing on 2 feet, really tall, had to be easily over 2 meters, but slender and muscular at the same time, and kind of crouched down posture. It looked almost like a werewolf from movies, but at the same time not. It was quite far away, so my light barely went so far, but I could see it. Its eyes shined red from my LED headlamp as well. It looked at me for about 3 seconds, made no sounds. It was breathing weirdly. I think it could smell the 2 ducks I had in my backpack. It slowly walked away. I even filmed a bit as it started walking with my phone, but it's poor quality as my phone at the time was old, and it was dark, so you can't really see it, just hear lots of noise. Anyway, I told some friends and fellow hunters. A couple have heard or seen strange things as well, but nothing like this. Bose.
Upright canine encounter in rural Mississippi. I live in a very rural part of Mississippi. I believe my town has something like 247 people in it. Everybody knows everybody. Weird things have happened before, like animals being slaughtered or going missing, that sort of thing. Naturally, we chalked it up to coyotes or other critters. I'm an avid hunter, so I was heading out to the woods with my bow, a fully decked out Matthews Creed. I got out a little earlier than usual, so it was still pretty dark. I've never minded the woods before, so all I planned on doing was relaxing in my stand for a while, as I didn't feel like stalking today. It's not too far away from daylight, so the birds and other wildlife are starting to make their morning calls. Usually pretty peaceful, right? I swear to God, in the span of a second, everything in that patch of woods shut up at the same exact time. Dead silence. It didn't even try to be subtle, that alone scared the piss out of me. So naturally my scared self froze and just listened for anything. My first thought was, oh crap, something's out here with me, which freaked me out even more. Then I started to think maybe it was just a bear or a bobcat, which I still was terrified to meet up with, but at least it gave me a logical answer. I figured I could hear a bear coming, but I knew big cats were renowned for stalking people without their knowing, which scared the daylights out of me. I decided to keep moving towards my stand, post up, and just point my bow down the tree. After what seemed like forever, I freaking made it. I shuffled up the stand, pulled out my knife just in case, and just listened. Dawn was definitely breaking now, which made me feel better. Still no sounds of wildlife, which was getting more and more eerie. Now, my stand is perched on the side of a creek. The creek wasn't very deep, like maybe to the top of your ankle. About the only sound I could hear was the slight noise of the running water. Then I hear something to my right, and it is running fast. I instantly raise my bow and wait. It's getting louder and louder, closer as well. I almost screamed when I saw this creature. It literally looked like something out of Dog Soldiers, only more muscular. This thing busted through the brush, ran down the slope and through the creek, then disappeared on the other side. I have seen some shit, let me tell you, but I was shaking like a newborn babe. I didn't ease off my drawstring for like 10 minutes, which is a long time to hold a bow. I mean, this thing was huge. Like 6.5 foot to 7.5 foot, 300 pounds of, no. And I've seen bears and the like before, they do not run like that. Anyways, after that, the sun really started to show and the birds started chirping. I had calmed myself down, so I got out of there in a hurry. While I was terrified at the time, it's definitely gonna be one of my coolest memories to look back on. I'm just gonna move my stand and hunt elsewhere. EH.
This is Lon Strickler. If you like this program, it would help us if you would give it a thumbs up. Then subscribe and click the bell icon so you get notification when we upload new first-person encounters. We have many more to come very soon. And by the way, if you have a suggestion or an experience of your own, please leave a comment.